Hi guys, welcome or welcome back. Thank you so much for being here, for all of your support. It's so greatly appreciated. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't yet. It really helps me out, especially because I'm still such a small channel and because YouTube's not really a fan of the true crime community. So that really helps me to get my videos pushed out into the algorithm. With that, I hope everybody's having a great day and that you're all happy and healthy. And let's get started. Okay, guys, so before we start, I just want to say thank you to my subscriber, Melissa Sally, for recommending this case to me. It's another great one for my wonderful subs, and I appreciate it so much. So thank you, Melissa. Rebecca Lynn, Becky Stowe, was born on November 3rd, 1977, to mother Diane Stowe. She's never met her biological father. She has one sibling, a sister named Cindy, who was 11 years older than her. Becky lived with her mom and her mom's boyfriend, Steve Nichols, in Niles, Michigan. Niles is a small town just north of the Indiana border. Diane was a very hard worker and she worked a lot. Her boyfriend, Steve, and her were both factory workers. So Becky was alone a lot. At the time of her death, 15-year-old Becky Snyder was a sophomore at Brandywine High School. She was described as adventurous, bubbly, fun, lovable, vibrant, wild, energetic, and easygoing. When she was much younger, she was a tomboy who played baseball, but as she got a little older, she became interested in makeup, hair, and girly things. Becky was not super popular in high school, but she wanted to be. Becky's friend group was described as the misfit, alternative, gothic crowd. Her best friend was a girl named Jacqueline Kaiser. That was her right-hand man, package deal, sister from another mister, partner in crime, and they did everything together, along with Jackie's boyfriend. Becky smoked a pack of Newports a day. Remember, this was back in the 90s when smoking menthol was like the cool thing to do. I smoked Newports in the 90s, fiberglass warnings and all. My friends smoked Newports also, and if they didn't smoke Newports, they either smoked Parliament Light Menthol or Marlboro Light Menthol. So it was definitely a thing. Towards the summer of 1993, Becky started seeing a boy named Robbie Lehman. Robbie was described as the all-American teen. Popular, good-looking, played football, your typical girls swoon over me, that's why I'm a prick who thinks my shit doesn't stink jock. But nevertheless, Becky was a smitten kitten. Becky and Robbie began sleeping together, and Becky started falling hard. But Becky was just the side piece, and I believe that was all he had ever intended for her to be. Mainly because Robbie's main girl was Angela Snyder, a popular cheerleader with a bad attitude and a stuck-up personality to match. Robbie would promise Becky he was going to break up with Angela to be with her, but that never happened, and I don't personally believe it was ever going to, from what I've seen and read. June 1993. Becky misses her period, so her and Jacqueline go to Kmart to buy a test. They then head over to Burger King to take the test, and the results are positive. Becky is pregnant, and Jackie is the only one that knows this secret. Becky would get into a lot of arguments with her mom and her mom's boyfriend, Steve. But it was all your typical arguments that all teenagers, especially girls, have with their parents. I fought with my mother all the time when I was a teenager, so it's normal. July 12th, 1993. Becky asks her mom if she can go spend a few days at Jacqueline's house to let things cool down. Diane agrees, and Becky packs some stuff and heads over. July 13th, 1993. Jacqueline goes out with her boyfriend for the day. When they get back, they find a note from Becky that says she went to talk to Robbie. The couple don't think much about it until Robbie calls looking for Becky, telling Jackie that he hasn't seen her all day. Jacqueline and Todd head into Becky's room where they find Becky's cigarettes and her wallet with the $60 cash she had just earned from babysitting. That's when Jacqueline would call Becky's mom to let her know what was going on. Jacqueline and Diane go out looking for Becky, but when they come up empty, Diane decides to call in a missing persons report. Jacqueline gives police Becky's note that says she's going to talk to Robbie. All signs should point to Robbie, but he has a solid alibi. The day Becky went missing, he did a landscaping job. Then he hung out with his friend Gary. Then he hung out with his mother. Then he went to his job as a busboy. Police checked out his alibis. Gary said he saw him. His mom said she saw him. It was verified that he was at work. He also passed the polygraph test, so police rule Robbie out. They also looked into and rule out Jackie's boyfriend, and Becky's other friend, Art Rose, who had romantic feelings for her that weren't reciprocated. Officers come up with a theory that maybe she had run away because of the baby. But that theory starts to unravel after detectives speak to her mom. Next, detectives look at Diane's boyfriend. Him and Becky didn't have a great relationship and would butt heads quite a bit. Steve would end up strengthening police's suspicion when they find out he called out of work the day of Becky's disappearance and the day after. This would give Steve enough time to murder Becky and hide her body. He said he spent the day at home watching movies, but he didn't see or speak to anyone. He also agreed to take a polygraph test, but he never showed up for it. And the final nail in Steve's main suspect coffin is when he moved out of the home while Diane was at work. After this, the case grows cold, and it would for 2 years before they would get a break. October 1995, a woman calls police and says that she knows what happened to Becky. The person on the other end of the phone would end up being Angela Snyder, Becky's arch nemesis, and the main girlfriend of Becky's baby daddy. She tells police that it was Rob Lehman who killed Becky. She tells detectives that she knows this information because Robbie told her. When detectives ask her how long she had known this for, she tells them 17 months. And when they ask her why she waited so long to come forward, she tells detectives because Becky is not her type of people. Not sure what that has to do with being a decent human being, but okay. She goes on to tell police that Becky's body is on Robbie's uncle's farm in a wooded area next to a lake at the end of the farm under a pile of wood. October 5th, 1995. Officers begin digging up the farm with a backhoe. They find Becky's skeleton, her clothes, and a pearl necklace that her mother gave her. Medical examiners compare the teeth to Becky's dental records, and it was a match. Because the body was so decomposed, they couldn't tell the cause of death or confirm that Becky was actually pregnant. Police call Robbie Lehman down to the station, and he confesses. July 13th, 1993. Robbie picks Becky up and drives her to his uncle's farm so they could spend some time together. He claims that they got into an argument that turned into a wrestling match. He was behind her, had his arms around her head. They fell to the ground, and he accidentally broke her neck. Investigators call bullshit on this story and realize that their suspicions are right. The following day, when they speak to Robbie's cousin, who's mentally impaired, he tells them that he helped Robbie dig the hole. Robbie was arrested and charged with first-degree premeditated murder. Forensic testing would confirm that Becky had passed out from the strangulation, but she wasn't dead. She died because she was buried alive. January 1997, Robbie's trial begins. Robbie sticks to his original story, but forensic evidence proves it's all bullshit. Prosecutors believe that Robbie took Becky out to the farm, showed her the hole, and told her he was serious about the abortion. When Becky refused, they started fighting. He got behind her, choked her. She passed out, and then she was buried alive. As for his alibi, Robbie had someone clock him in and out of work that day. January 29th, 1997. The jury comes back with a guilty verdict. Rob Lehman is sentenced to a mandatory life without the possibility of parole. That should be the end of the story, right? Wrong. Michigan, along with 32 other states, have banned life without parole for juveniles, citing that science says juvenile brains are not fully developed for adult decision-making, meaning that an automatic life without parole sentence for a juvenile is unconstitutional. Becky's sister, Cindy Slates, testified at the new sentencing, telling the court that they fear running into him because he would be living just 18 miles from her home. Lehman's ex-girlfriend, Angela Snyder, also testified that she was against him getting parole, with his GPS coordinates to Angela being even closer than the 18 miles he would be from Cindy. Cindy Slates went on to tell the court, quote, "We lived in peace before he was resentenced. We lived like it was over, and we went on with our lives knowing he would never be an issue again. Now we're living in turmoil with this," end quote. Cindy Slates goes on to say, "Why should he have the pleasure of living with his family when I was denied the same? Cindy and Becky's mother died in 2015 of cancer, and they never knew their father. So Becky would have been Cindy's only living relative, and he took that from her, along with her niece or nephew." District Attorney Scott Teeter says that if he was going to build a profile about a psychological killer, it would be Robbie Lehman. The fact that a teenager was able to fool 3 seasoned detectives and pass a polygraph, knowing that he had planned out and murdered Becky just days before, makes him a monster. He goes on to say, he has no remorse and no conscience. Him murdering Becky is along the same lines to him as swatting a fly. Rob Lehman said at his resentencing hearing that he did not want to cause the Stowe family more pain. Lehman's mother, Kathy Opeth, testified in the resentencing hearing that she wanted a second chance for her son, saying, quote, "He's not that same person. He's taking responsibility and he's trying to better himself," end quote. In the end, the judge ended up releasing Robert Lehman from jail in January of 2021 after serving 26 years in prison.
She had told me she's got a new boyfriend. His name's Rob. He's really nice.
No matter how many years go by, the memory of Becky Stowe has not been lost in the Niles community. A 15-year-old girl full of life who had no idea that July night in 1993, she would be killed by her own Brandywine High School boyfriend.
She had left a letter stating, went to go talk to Rob, and we never saw her again. He covered his alibi very well. He had someone clock him in and out at work the day that he killed my sister. He even had the hole dug already.
It took 2 years for police to discover Becky's body, which then 16-year-old Robert Lehman buried at his family's Cass County farm, and for charges to be filed against him. In 1997, Lehman was finally sentenced to life in prison without parole.
We went ahead and went to the cemetery and had a gathering there and told Becky at the cemetery that she can rest now in peace.
But the closure Becky's sister Cindy and the family thought they got, now taken away, knowing Lehman is now walking free, while Becky can never be brought back.
25 years, the minimum out of that 25 to 40, and then he already served at that point 24 years. So here we are today, and he's out of prison.
Her family hoping, though, the name Becky Stowe is on people's minds, not the man who stole her from them 2 decades ago.
Her dream was to drive a green ragtop Jeep on the beaches of California. Unfortunately, she never even got her driver's license. Her life ended at 15.
Right, Todd. He was resentenced today to a minimum of 25 years, maximum of 60 years in prison, but he was given credit for the time that he's already served. That's about 24 years and 3 to 4 months, meaning he'll be up for parole within the year. And this is all because of a Supreme Court decision that declared that life without parole sentences for juveniles are unconstitutional. Now, it was an emotional day in that packed courtroom behind me. Several friends and family of both Lehman and Stowe were in there. Stowe's family was distraught as Lehman entered that courtroom. Cass County Prosecutor Victor Fitz argued that Lehman was a danger to the community and he should be given another life sentence. But then Becky Stowe's sister got up to plead with the judge to do the exact same thing and send Lehman back to prison for life.
Robert Lehman did things and thought things only a man would, not a child. It does not matter if a person has changed or not. That person is forever responsible for his heinous crime.
Lehman's attorney argued that he was a changed man and said she'd be comfortable with him as her neighbor. Lehman, for now, though, will be sent back to prison, finish out his sentence, and again could be up for parole within the year.
Okay, guys. So that's it. That's all I have. If you're still here, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't. Let me know what you thought about this case. Let me know if you think he should have gotten released from jail or not. And to my sub, Melissa Sally, thank you so much for bringing this case to my attention. I loved researching it and giving Becky a platform for her story to be heard because she deserves it. And until next time, guys,